Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we are going to be checking out the Sand Devil Turn Attack Tournament, which is a couple of firsts in here. And speaking of first, it is not me actually at the moment, unfortunately. Maybe we'll fix that soon. But this tournament, it is number one, the first ever Sand Devil tournament. So if you are ever going to do any Sand Devil, which is actually really worth it, it makes, like, for example, your nuker in arena hit so much harder if you can get that extra, like, crit damage, crit rate, attack percent, whatever it is on those champions. Makes a big difference. Getting speed on a pair of speed boots in speed or perception sets, right? It is quite worthwhile to do at least a little bit of Sand Devil. And this is the first tournament for it. Double dip and get not that many, but a few extra rewards. I would say, looking at this, I mean, 10 brews is actually, it's an okay little bonus. These are sort of tiny bonuses. The main thing would be the 6-star attack glyph. I don't know if it's flat or attack percent, but that's nice to get, and an immortal soulstone. There's not much in here, but it's, it's more than getting nothing. And this is the only tournament that affects Sand Devil, at least so far. It's also, I believe, the first turn attack tournament, which means that you can actually see here, for each of the different stages that you do, you will get between a minimum and a maximum number of points, which I think is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, let me show you some of the teams. Let me show you what I've done. I will also say I'm probably going to pull for this the extra legendary event that's on right now. Overwhelmingly, you guys in the comments overwhelmingly were like, no, you got to do it, you got to pull. So I think we're going to be doing that. That might be out today as well, because I don't think I'm going to wait for the 10x event. Because while I would like the Valkyrie, I actually don't want the other 10x champions. There's 3 others in there, and I have them all already. They'd be nice for Faction Guardians, but I'm certainly not going out of my way to get them. But yeah, I'm kind of curious whether you're going to pull today or tomorrow if you are going for it. And also, let me just mention right here as well, we do have a Soulstone Rush tournament starting tomorrow. So, I mean, in Legendary Book, Void Shard, Sacred Shard, there's going to be good rewards, but I would expect this to be very, very expensive. I'd expect this to be extremely expensive. If we saw the Soulstone Chase tournament was really expensive, I expect this one to be really expensive. I might go for it. I have saved every single big coin. Every single one, I think every single one since this stuff released. I've got 5,000, so I could do 5 big Eternal Soulstones, and I've saved an extra Eternal Soulstone from a previous Heroes Path event. So I might save and go for it if I can and get some extra stuff, and finally actually spend these coins, and then they'll come out. They'll come out in a while and be like, we're adding in, I don't know, 20x events or something for this. I doubt it, but hey, you never know. Look, anyway, the subject of today's video, though, is the Sand Devil's Necropolis, and we have a few things going on. So let me show you the 2 sort of teams that I've been running. So for stage 10, I think this is the most accessible type team by far. This should be quite easy to do when you're a little bit further into the game if you're trying to do it fast, and you could apply this obviously to lower stages if you wanted to, but stage 7 still remains a relatively decent stage. Actually, let me get you the exact information on it. Okay, to give you the information on the oil stuff, we have to make a short hop over the water here to Wales and ask Saf from HH Gaming about this. But here you go. You can see he's actually, I've clicked on the wrong spot. Where did he do it? Yeah, over here. So he's actually given you a really nice chart here, which shows you the most energy efficient stage, because that's usually the most important thing. You've got to consider, obviously, success rate. Can you actually do the stage? How long does it take you to do the stage? But how much you're getting for your energy, that's the limited resource, and that's sort of one of the things that matters most. So stage 7, as you can see, stage 7 is actually really good. It sort of stands out amongst the greens as being quite solid at 0.74. Now, as you can see, we've got way more darker greens actually down here. And this has changed, right? We have to mention this. This has changed in the recent patch, and this video will be sort of a catch-all. They massively buffed the number of these small potions that are dropping, or the mini oils, from all of these higher stages. They cranked it up way, way more. So whereas before, stage 7 was the de facto best one for the small pots by kind of a long shot, now you've got lots of ones that are competing. So stage 11 competes pretty well. Stage 14 and 15 compete pretty pretty well. And obviously when you get up to stage 11, 14, 15, you can get the greater oils, the medium pots as well. Then it gets pretty bad for the lesser pots, but really picks up again at stage 24. And then the best possible stage for the small ones is stage 25. You can see 24 and 25 are also extremely good for your medium oils, the greater oils. And then they're both very good, with 25 obviously being the better one by a good chunk here for the superior, for the big ones as well. So this means that certainly if you can, in good time, this is where the turn attack comes in, right? It's going to depend how long it's going to take you to do these. It's pretty hard to get a team that can speed farm stage 24 or 25. My lowest turns is 82. Let me actually run this one out. I'll just throw this team in. I've done a whole video on this team. You could also use like Cronam and stuff like that. But we go into this team. What we're using is Godseeker Iniri and a Ninja. If you don't have a Ninja, this one's kind of rough, and hence we'll go back to that earlier team. You can see Godseeker dies. Her passive revives her because she's in position number 1. It gives us that error saying, hey, use an aura. And I think Ninja does have an aura. Maybe not, actually. I've done this with Walking Tomb Drang as well. And Tomb Drang does have an aura. But no, you need Godseeker in position number 1. Her passive will then revive her. Then she'll use her revive to revive your damage dealer. They come back with their cooldowns all ready to go. The boss is asleep and you can debuff him and do damage. In this case, the damage is coming from HP burn. So bam, we die. Godseeker revives, picks up your champion. This is pretty intensive. I'll show you the gear for it. Pretty intensive to gear up Godseeker to do this. The damage dealer is actually very easy to gear. That's not a problem. But to gear up Godseeker is quite tricky. But yeah, anyway, look. Let me run this one out and we'll see how many points we get, and we'll see how worth it is. So be right back. Okay, so we are back. We did it kind of slow, this one, actually. There's a little bit of luck involved. That took me 3:28 in terms of time. It took 113 turns this time for 31 points. So it took 113 turns. It gave, 31 points. We're going to add this stuff in and compare it to stage 7. I'm just curious. For the energy, that cost me 18 energy. So not too bad, right? 18 energy giving 31 points. Interesting. If we go down to stage 7, just to compare that, and I'll show you then some other teams you could use that are better, of course, for stage 24, 25. Coming into stage 7, this is a much simpler team. So Arbiter comes in, gives us increased attack and turn meter boost. Not that important. You could probably bring in any increased attack champion. Easy. This one's very quick. Then we've got a rare from campaign, Muckstalker. Why is he so good? Very simple. Let me actually show you the stats for this team as well. So Arbiter goes first. These are the stats, but it doesn't really matter. We've got Muckstalker. Sleep for 2 turns. Amazing, on a 2-turn cooldown. So Muckstalker comes in, very, very simple. He is going to sleep the boss. And it's really that easy. You know, he sleeps the boss for 2 turns, and then it doesn't matter how quick or slow anyone else is, because the boss will sleep through a turn even, and still have a turn left on the sleep. He's still asleep. You're still good to go. After that, we've got a decreased defense weaken. In this case, it's Dracomorph. He's probably the best because he doesn't actually attack, so it doesn't count any points on the boss. And then just nukers. You could do this with like one really strong nuker, but you can see my little Miss Annie, 6.8k attack, 279% crit damage. She's very strong, massive single target nuke. I actually need 2 nukers to guarantee it, which is Supreme Alhain. You can one-shot it with like little Miss Annie, your strongest nuker. It is possible. Yeah, it didn't quite work out for me here. To show you the stats that you would need, right, to put it in perspective. So you can see again, even if he took a turn, we're actually faster than him, but even if he took a turn, he would sleep through it. So this bugged out for me. Excellent. Last time I tried to show it, it bugged out. But this is the Hell Hades. Come over to Hell Hades, go to the Raid Stages tool. Then we're going to choose Dungeon. We're going to choose Sand. Just to show you how low the stats are that you need for this. Stage 7 normal, right? You need 265 accuracy. The boss is 180 speed. So, I mean, you put in Arbiter, it's really not a problem. Like, there's no way. I think it's actually impossible for this boss to take 2 turns before your nukers get to go, even if you literally give them 0 speed. It should not be possible, especially if you got Arbiter, but it doesn't matter. Any increased attack champion, any real decreased defense weaken champ, and you can mix it up. You could even, let me even test this out. So what we'll do really fast is increase attack, but let's not do the sleep. Okay, and let's mess it up, right? So, oh, sleep got resisted. Uh-oh, we can't place debuffs. Our damage goes way down, obviously because of that. Arbiter's going to waste her revive. So yeah, one thing you could do maybe in that circumstance is you could set up your skill priority so the Arbiter would not revive on turn 2 in case people died. But you can see I've not obviously built these champions for damage. These are nukers. Like there's it's for survivability. Like Little Miss Annie is about as squishy as you can get, and she has still managed to survive here. So you're really not in any much danger. Arbiter has an AoE revive, so even if the boss gets his big move off, you're not in danger. As you can see, it's going to slow your run down an awful lot. It's going to really slow it down. Actually, sort of extra slow for us because I didn't do the A2, so he kind of wasted his first A2 then because the boss is already asleep or something. But we're still going to clear it in about 1 minute, but it's going to give us less stuff. 13 points for that, actually, so it's pretty forgiving. If we run it again one more time here, just to get the final numbers, and again, any damage dealer will do. You just want your hardest hitting single target damage dealer. And preferably ones that don't have multi-hits because they're going to wake the boss up, which you wouldn't quite want. But 5 turns, 8 seconds. So it took us 0, 0, 8, 5 turns for 10 energy, and that gave us 16 points, which is, again, really not bad. Really not bad. So we'd have, like, if I bring up my calculator, well, we have 31 divided by 18, I think. So, yeah, so that's points per... Let's do points per energy equals 1.7, wasn't it? On the calculator right there, 1.72. Okay, cool. And then let's copy this down here, points per energy. So we would take this and clear, we do what? 16 divided by 10, isn't it? Yeah, 1.6. It's actually slightly worse. Slightly worse points per energy, actually interesting, with stage 7, but it's much easier to set up. And in terms of the actual real world time, you're going to see it's a lot faster. You're going to save yourself a ton of time. To give you an idea of how quick you could potentially do Sand Devil, by the way, so stage 25, the fastest in my whole clan cluster here is Kocha. He can do it in 17 seconds in 12 turns. After that, you can see it goes way down to like 41, 52. It's like 1 minute and 6. But like 41 seconds and 21 turns is second place. Fourth place is 59 seconds and 38 turns. So yeah, and I think this is the team that Kocha is using. So it's like Riho, Bonespear, Crizia, Sifi, Newt, and Yumiko. So it's pretty intense. Like a 424 speed Sifi is kind of what you need to land the Sifi sleep at the right sort of point, I think, and make just everything sort of click together. So yeah, you can certainly, if you've got a really good team for these higher stages, I would certainly recommend it. And bearing in mind, you're sort of equal on the small oils, but on the higher stages, you're doing as good. You know, you're doing actually slightly better in terms of points per energy, but you're also getting these medium oils, the big oils. But if you can only do lower stages, like stage 7, it's still very, very close in terms of your points per energy. So you can get those small pots, get those basic ascensions in, find your crit damage gloves that have crit damage ascension, really useful. And you can actually clean up these rewards fairly easily. So for example, I'm getting what, 16 points per run. So let's see this. So to complete this, right, with 16 points per run, we need 2050. So 2050 points. We're going to divide that by 16 points. It's going to take us 128 runs. So 128 runs, which would cost us, well, 10. That's straightforward enough, isn't it? 1280 energy. Okay. So 1280. I probably should just multiply by 10 there to get the proper thing. But 1280 energy. We divide that by 130, which is your refill. So that's 9.8 refills. Or in terms of gems, almost 9.9. Well, we just call it 10 refills. Let's call it 10 refills just to keep it simple. So 10 refills, let's say 400 gems. Let's keep it simple. Let's say you fail 1 or 2 along the way. Cool, fine, whatever. So let's say 10 refills. It's going to cost you about 400 gems to do this. So 400 gems, get yourself a big thing. Get yourself this as bonuses. If you have the time, like this is, I think, a pretty reasonable thing to do. And I think there's a reasonable chance as well. You could get a bronze chest. Honestly, it's pretty rubbish. There's not much good in that. Actually, this is a better bronze chest. Never mind. This one's pretty good. Ancient Shard is nice. The type charms and rank charms aren't great, but the rarity charms, I'd say the rarity charms and the ancient shard are the best ones in there, but pretty nice. And even for 10th place, which right now is 37 points, you could do that, 3 runs of stage 7 and you've beaten that. You could get this and potentially some energy. I'd say definitely pay attention to this, guys, and try to at least snipe it if you can, to grab some of these lower rewards depending on your group. But yeah, I think this is pretty doable. And if you have the time within the fusion, this is a bit of a slow day. I'd say today is right before Dungeon Divers kicks in tomorrow. So I'd say tomorrow would be the day to come in and to finish Ice Golem if you haven't finished it. So for example, for me, have not quite finished Ice Golem. So I'm going to come in and finish that tomorrow, get a bit of Dungeon Diver points right there. Today is finishing Champion Training. So that's where it could get a bit more intense, and definitely prioritize finishing the Newt Fusion. Obviously, I mean, as you saw, Newt was on the best possible team for Sand Devil. You really want this legendary fusion if you can get him. So that's well worth doing. I kind of feel like if you're in a position where you're not able to do the Newt fusion, you're probably not in a position where you're able to farm Sand Devil, right? So yeah, I feel like, you got to be maybe a bit further into the game to have the luxury to do this today. Have 400 spare gems for energy refills to crank it out pretty quick, and be good. Again, if you're curious about time, so it's going to take us 128 runs. So let's take 8 seconds, multiply it by let's say 130, and then we could divide that by 60. It's going to take you 170 minutes, divide by 60 again. It's going to take you 2.8 hours. Let's say about 3 hours. It'll take you about 3 hours of running Sand Devil. I think I've done the maths right there. I hope so. I think it will take you about 3 hours to get this thing done. Not a terrible thing to do if you have the time to be doing that. It's a lot of clicking, refresh, replay, fight. But yeah, that's something something to consider. Let me know, what do you think? Are you interested in this? I said I would do a video on this just because it has been a while, I think, since I've done some Sand Devil looks. But yeah, the TLDR is, I say the important takeaways is stage 7 is a great budget stage for doing this very, very quickly and still getting pretty good value, but you're only getting lesser oil. When you're able to push up higher, stage 11 is okay. 14 and 15 are okay as well. 15 is actually a good chunk better. You're getting a good lot more medium oils. But really the best ones are stage 24, and the best one now by far is stage 25 for farming these. And it seems to translate pretty well that even if you're doing it pretty slowly with lots of turns, you're still getting pretty good points per energy, so it still seems pretty worthwhile. It makes sense from their game design perspective as well. They want you to be caring about the highest stages because they require really specific champions and good gear, which means playing the game lots and buying shards and forge pass and all that good stuff. So yeah, there you go. Hope you found it interesting, guys, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.